You are one of those guys that everybody has seen in a million movies, but they probably don't know too much about you. So
Right.
can you give us a little Adrian Martinez 101?
Wow, okay. Well, I'm from New York, born and raised. I've been here my whole life. I'm one of the few actors that has been able to build a career just being in New York. I mean, I travel, of course, about 4 or 5 times a year to whatever. I just wrapped on Will Smith's movie Focus. I played his sidekick, and we were in New Orleans and Buenos Aires, and we filmed here. It's 85 degrees today in Buenos Aires, so I'm a little upset by that. It's like 85 below here in New York, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'm in Mitty. I just got cut out of most of American Hustle, but I think I'm still in the credits after like the catering.
You're in the trailer too.
I'm in the trailer?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Don't believe everything you see in the trailer. But yeah, no, I'm blessed. I'm this character guy that's been doing it for a while and got some good stuff coming out.
Did you always know you wanted to be an actor?
I always knew I loved the movies. Like I grew up like 10 years old, bleary-eyed, watching the Oscars and just waiting to see who won Best Picture and then passing out. And so I always had a thing for the movies. I love the movies. Like I breathed the movies and I wanted to be a part of it. Nobody in my family thought that was even possible. We're talking about, my dad was a machinist and my mom was a homemaker, and like Hollywood was just another place where fancy people live, and they wear gold hats and walk on red carpets. But I had a vision and I followed it, and here we are.
What was the point where you realized that you were actually good at it and this is something that you could and should be doing?
Well, hopefully that'll be this year. I don't know. I mean, it's funny because like every step of the way, like whenever I thought, all right, it's getting too ridiculous, it's too hard, there was always someone or something happened that said, keep going. Like I remember I did an episode of Sex and the City, and I booked Sex and the City, and then all of a sudden I was calling Kim Cattrall names and telling her she had a nice ass. That's all scripted, by the way. I didn't, like that little nugget of work just kept me going, or people like Sidney Pollack hiring me and the interpreter and letting me flirt with Nicole Kidman on camera, like as part of a joke, obviously. I said to Sidney, like, what if I just tell her, stop coming on to me, it's not gonna happen. And he just like looked at me like it was crazy, but he shot it. He gave me that respect. He gave me a take where I got to flirt with her on camera. And it's in the dungeon somewhere at 20th Century Fox somewhere. But like those little nuggets of, you know what, I like this guy. Keep going. Have kept me sustain my career.
And you got to hug Sandra Bullock like 20 times over in a scene.
Yeah. She's. How's she doing? Did she leave the business? Is she alright?
I think she's been pretty busy this year.
Oh, really?
Did you see Gravity?
I did. Yeah, I mean, what you see is what you get. She's just a beautiful spirit. Like, just a really grounded person. And it's funny, that day I didn't know who I was working with. It was just one of these weird, things, like Stephen Daldry directing, and my agent's like, don't do it, it's just for a couple days. And I'm like, well, who's directing? Stephen Daldry. No, I'll go. Just to shake his hand, I'll totally do it. And I had no idea. And then I went, and they escorted me to like this like huge esplanade. And inside was Sandra Bullock sitting there with a coffee. And she's like, hi, I'm Sandy. And I was like, swing, just like totally.
Does that get you nervous at all?
Excited. I wouldn't say I was nervous. I've only been nervous like one time, and that was with Harrison Ford at a read-through of a movie I did. It didn't do well, but it was a good movie called Morning Glory. Did you see that?
I remember that one.
Yeah, I mean, the table read was surreal. It was Harrison Ford, Diane Keaton, Annie Hall, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly, Patrick Wilson, who I later worked with on The Gifted Man, Rachel McAdams, and they were all like right there, you know. And it was just like, this is cool. I'm in the movies.
Is there anyone
But
you've
I got
ever
nervous with Harrison Ford.
I don't blame you. He would intimidate me too.
Well, it's just because, like, you know, like his roles are just so part of our movie history, you know. They're just so huge. Like when I think of movie stars, I think of him, you know, like it's Harrison Ford, you know what I mean? So that was trippy. But everybody else just feels like more like cool people doing movies.
Is there any best of the best for you? Like someone you'd want to work with above all else?
They're all dying. Like I wanted to work. I gotta get it going here. I mean, Marlon Brando died on me. I would have loved to have worked with him. Anthony Quinn died on me. But you know, I mean, there's still, you know, some people, of course. I sort of worked with Robert De Niro on Righteous Kill. I had a scene cut from that where I was just standing behind him. Yeah, I'm cut a lot.
Someone needs to make a documentary about you, and it's just all of your scenes that were cut.
It'd be like a 3-hour movie. It'd be good.
Do you have any of these, or do they get locked away and you can't have access?
They get locked away. Yeah, I don't know. I don't roll that deeply with these people. Like I don't know what it would take to get that, but I would love some of the stuff I've done. Some of the best work I've done you'll never see. But that's why I'm directing now, so I don't cut myself out.
And can you tell us about that? What is the film about? What's it called, too?
There's a couple. I'll tell you about one called Gabacho, which is Gabacho is like Mexican for Spanish for like, you know, whitey, you know, like. And I play this self-loathing Mexican American who lives in Arizona and puts his own people down, and then gets caught up in an INS raid and gets deported to Mexico. So now he has to befriend everyone he hates to get back to Arizona.
What's the tone of that one?
It's kind of wacky, you know. It's a Wonderful World kind of thing, you know. It's really a satire on the whole Arizona situation and how crazy they are with the laws against Latinos. And there's actually a law now where you can't teach Spanish if you have an accent. Which I was like, that's it. We gotta write this and get this one in before. This is just too good.
So that's one that you're directing, and you have another also?
Yeah, I mean, the other one I'm not ready to talk about because it's just too flesh. It's just too raw. I can't even go near it right now.
So this first one is the one that you're in pre-production on now?
No.
It's the other one.
The other one. But that one is. I can't. It's just know it's really dark and creepy, and you're gonna like it, Perry. I promise you.
I trust you.
Yeah, and you're in the loop now. I'm totally gonna keep you updated.
I would like that. What kind of director are you?
I'm an actor's director. I am an actor. I'm very relaxed. I don't storyboard. I feel it's all about the spontaneity of the moment. If you look at a movie like The Motorcycle Diaries, I mean, Walter Salles did a lot of improvisation there. There's a scene where Gael Garcia Bernal's character talks to some kids on the street about what it's like to live there, and that was all just shot on the day, spontaneously. I love that energy. I love that sort of kinetic, let's see what happens approach. I shoot mainly with steady cams, hopefully 2 at a time, and just really try to give it a wild, sort of energy-filled experience for the audience.
Is there anything that you've learned from any of the directors that you worked with that you kind of pinpointed as something you'd want to take with you onto your own feature?
I mean, each director offers different lessons. Like Ben Stiller on Walter Mitty was awesome because you just learn about the work ethic, the discipline of film directing. I mean, and he's just off the hook in terms of a work ethic. Like the guy was there every day at 4 a.m. setting up shots. He acted all day. He produced. He wrapped after 14 days, and then he did the editing, and you know, like he it's insane, you know. And
how many days? You say 14?
No, he worked. The movie was a 3-month shoot, but you know, like he puts in a 14-hour day, not including like a few hours before in prep and a few hours after cutting the film. You know, so he's just like putting in an 18, 20-hour day. Yeah, you know. It's just,
Is this what you're going to do on your film? Or are you going to act
no.
and direct?
No, I mean,
I don't blame you.
I'm going to act and direct, but I'm not going to put in a 20-hour day. I mean, unless you include sleeping. No, I'm like Woody Allen. If I don't get 18 hours sleep, I'm grouchy all day.
So can you tell me a little bit about working with Ben? Because he is in every single frame of that movie.
Yeah.
So how is it when he's kind of, I guess, directing himself while he's in the frame versus maybe when there's a single on you and he's not in it?
Yeah.
Are you talking to a stand-in or is he there?
No, he's there. He's there in the scene. He's completely there. And then someone yells cut when he gives like a little signal, and then he goes, so he looks at the monitor and he checks everything out. He moves the camera, he sets up the next shot. He's very, very meticulous about everything. Like there were several tests just on my hair. Literally, like he wanted the hair a particular way, and we kept trying different hairdos and different everything.
What did the hair say about the character, out of curiosity?
Nerd.
That's appropriate.
Geek, this guy never goes out, this guy never gets laid, this guy never anything. You know? I mean, yeah, I'm like the one guy in Walter Mitty below Walter Mitty. You know, like we're both working in the negative assets room, and this is like the dungeon at Life magazine that no one wants to go to. And yeah, he's considered like completely invisible, and I'm like the one guy below invisible. But we sort of represent. I mean, I represent the start of the hero's journey. Like that's where he starts and summons the courage to find this picture that Sean O'Connell has left for him, played by Sean Penn. And there begins the journey, and so it's fine. I mean, I got to be his buddy at work and over here at Kaufman Astoria Studios in Queens, and he's just really just a real professional, but so meticulous about everything, man. Like every little detail, like would this glass have ice in it? I don't think so, because it's later in the day, you know, like that kind of.
Is there any one detail other than the hair that he came up with that you'll never forget every time you see that movie?
For his character or mine?
Either.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it was more about he really wanted Hernando to be as fleshed out and as much a human being as possible. So it was more about really feeling vulnerable to everything he said and just allowing myself to be relaxed and present with him. And he kept saying, you know, don't worry about pushing anything. Don't try to just really be present here and really understand how much you care for this guy. And that was kind of like the basis. That and ferns. Like I have a lot of ferns in this movie. There's one scene I think they kept where I fight for a fern.
I saw the fern, I think, in two scenes. Outside when someone's about to take it away from him, and then I think it's in the box in the elevator.
Yeah, in the elevator, right. The fern mattered to me. Yeah.
Can you tell me about that scene in the elevator? Because that's actually one of the most memorable moments for me, because that hug is so incredibly awkward, but so naturally awkward at the same time.
Yeah.
Was that scripted, or did that kind of happen?
That was unscripted. It would kind of happen. We tried it different ways. And that's the one they kept. It feels right. It felt spontaneous. I mean, for myself, I was just trying to really not play the funny, but just kind of like really feel that I want to let this guy know how much I care for him without like, you know, being a dick about it, you know. But I just wanted to like kind of like let him know, like, you know, I love you, Walter, and how do you say I love you to another guy and you don't want to like, you know, give him the wrong idea because you're straight, but he's your boss and you may not see him again. So it all wound up being like this awkward little huggy thing.
I love how he passes the box to him.
Yeah.
It's just like such a random detail, but it kind of says a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's him saying, okay, you go on now. This is your life now, and I'm going my way.
So now can you tell me about American Hustle? Because I really want to know what these scenes are that I'm never going to see now.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, in that I play a Julius, Jeremy Renner's mayor's aide. And basically I was just running around Boston for 5 weeks, just being his aide and, you know, just being supportive. If you follow the story, it's about the app scam scandal of the 70s, and he gets sort of implied as being somewhat corrupt, and I was just like a pillar of support for him the whole movie. Like I really believed in him, kind of like it was like heroes worship, even. I was kind of like his lapdog in the movie, like wherever the master went, I was there for him.
How did he feel about what he got himself into? Did he see through Amy Adams and Christian Bale's character, or was he in support of them working together?
I mean, that's the kind of thing I think audiences need to make up for themselves. I mean, I think Jeremy played it just right, just in terms of you don't really know. You don't really know what his motivations were. And he's a terrific actor. I mean, there's a stillness to Jeremy Renner that's just so powerful, like a lot of actors try to overwhelm an audience with power and screaming and, theatrics. And Jeremy is just so understatedly powerful that it's just all the more compelling, like if you watch him in Hurt Locker, like come on. Or even The Fighter, just great work.
How's it working with David? Because I know he has probably one of the most unique ways to work with actors out there.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
Check. Jeremy, David is, how do you put it? It's like, working with him is like being on the roller coaster at Coney Island. It's just, it has its ups and downs. It's frightening. It's entertaining. And at the end of it all, you want to throw up and you get a T-shirt.
Do you really get a T-shirt?
He's just a wild mix of a lot of stuff going on. He's a complicated man, but yeah, I do want my I Survived David O. Russell T-shirt. I do.
Do you think something like that kind of work ethic facilitates these movies he makes and the success of them? Because, the past 3 years, he's made 3 movies that are just above and beyond. Do you think you need those eccentricities like that?
Well, it works for him, certainly. What I took away from him was his use of Steadicam work. Like 2 at a time, two going at the same time is pretty wild, and just, again, that free-spiritedness that I want in my movies is just, it works, like if you look at Silver Linings Playbook, some of the scenes when they're having that big argument in De Niro's house, and you see how the camera's like going around, it just draws you in, it's not just master, close up, so I love his camera work, and that to me is great stuff.
And now, of course, I've got to ask, what is it like when you get the phone call or whatever you do that says, we had a cut, essentially, all of
you don't
your
get
scenes?
that call. No one ever called you to say that, You just go to the movie, you're not there. Although on this time I actually got a call from another actor in the cast, Tom Matthews. He's in Jeremy's family. He plays his son. He's a good guy, and he said, "Yeah, I went to the premiere, and we're not in it."
At least you're not in that alone.
Yeah. What?
At least you're not in that alone.
Right. But yeah, that's the situation, and I'm actually fine with it at this point because it's just like. It was never my movie to begin with, I'm rented for hire, I'm here to do something for you, but it's your movie, and you pick and choose what you want,
Is there any one scene from that movie that you would do anything to show people, like anything you did there that you're particularly proud of?
There is a scene when we shot, in the streets of... it wasn't Boston, I think it was Lynn, Massachusetts. And the crowd's turning on Jeremy, and they're all like starting to throw things, and they're really upset at him. And I grab him by the arm, and I'm like, okay, wait, let's go away. It's getting dangerous. And I told Jeremy something. It was a 2-shot, and I got really upset. I got really emotionally upset at the fact that they were turning on him. Because to me, it was like they were stoning Christ. Do you know what I mean? Like how can you do this to Jesus? Like after all he's done for you. That's the weight I gave it, you know. And I got really, like I was crying. And I got really upset by the fact that they turned on him. But again, it's not my movie, so.
Another one that's not your movie, Focus. I know it's about a con man who like gets together with a wannabe con woman.
Yeah, played by Margot Robbie, who's the girlfriend of DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. She's just an amazing talent. She's going to own Earth very shortly because she's got the whole package. She's beautiful and she's talented. Will Smith plays the best con man on Earth, of course, from a family of con men. And I'm like his like sidekick who's like the bull in the china shop, you know. I'm like messed up and vulgar, and I'm telling a nun nice ass, you know. It's just I don't even care, you know. Like, so you need that guy because she's like really beautiful and he's beautiful, and you need me to counterbalance all that beauty and make it real. So I'm like that in that movie, and I mean that's actually my agent. But yeah, you know, it's just really cool, you know. I mean, these are A-list stars, you know, and they're really, when they're that generous, they let you do whatever you want to do in terms of improvisation. Like I threw some crazy stuff out at Margot Robbie. Like some of the most vulgar, disgusting things you can say to a woman, and she just smiled and just gave it right back to me, man.
When you're doing something like that, do you ever say something and you're like, oh my God, how did I just come up with that?
Well, there was kind of like an opening party, you know, where everyone got to meet everyone. And I said, I want to apologize now for all the vulgar things I'm going to be saying to you for the next 3 months. And she said, oh, I don't care, it's fine. And she didn't care, and she was fine. Like some stars, like hey, you know. But no. Like on Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close, I was afraid, literally, of hugging Sandra Bullock. And she was like, oh, come here. And she gave me this big hug, man, like, which I still feel now. You know, so yeah, I mean, they get it. They know how hard it is to get to the point where you get to work with them. And so they try to make you comfortable. So at least the great ones do, yeah.
Is there anything, like you've achieved quite a bit, but is there anything in particular that you're striving for in the new year?
I am striving for directing this movie and making sure that it sees the light of day. I'm going to move mountains and just do whatever is necessary. To give you the context, I used to own property here in New York, and I sold it all to finance the movie. That's how bad I want it. There are people that have left my life based on that decision because they thought I was certifiable. But, you know, I'd rather be, you know, an actualized artist than a miserable landlord, you know.
Sounds like a better title.
Yeah, you know, like collecting rents and fixing water heaters. I've been there and I've done that, and now I just want to make movies.